So we're going to be doing the odd ones on this. It's just extra practice. You want to write an equation, and the two things that you need to write an equation are m and b. So whenever they give you a graph, you could clearly just count your slope, your rise and run, by picking 2 points. So like if you pick, let's say, this point right here, which is the y-intercept, and this point up here, you could count how much you actually rise, 1, 2, 3, and you run 1. So your slope is up 3 over 1, so it's 3 over 1, so your slope is 3. But right here they give it to you, the slope is 3. And the b value, this is the b value right here, which is equal to -1 because it crosses the y-axis at -1. So like I said, you need two things. You need the m, you need the b. Once you have the m and the b, you could write the equation, which is y equals 3x minus 1. Super easy. We're doing the odd ones. Let's jump to this one. Once again, they give you the m value. I mean, you could count it if you want. If you pick any point, like if you pick this one and this next one, you're going to be going down 1 over 1. So yeah, the slope is -1 over 1, which is just -1. And you also need the y-intercept value, which happens to cross the y-axis at -1, 2, 3, at -4. So the b value is -4. Now you could write your equation, y equals -1x, or you could just put -x minus 4, and there's your equation in slope-intercept form. Once again, you always need the m, you always need the b. So if we look at number 5 right here, they give you the m value, which is 1/2, but they don't give you the b value. So we're going to use the x and the y coordinate, and we're going to plug in the x and the y and the m. We're going to plug it all into y equals mx plus b. And why are we going to do that? We're going to plug it all in so we could solve for the missing value b. Actually, it'd be a good idea to always start these problems that say write it in slope-intercept form. You always start it by, I need an m, I need a b. If you get the slope and you get the b, the y-intercept, you're able to write it in slope-intercept form. So they gave us the slope was 1/2, and the b, that's what we're searching for. So what we're going to do is plug in everything. I want to take this x value of 4 and plug it in right here into the x. I want to take the y value of 3 and plug it in right here into the y. I want to take the m value of 1/2 and plug it right into the m value, plug in 1/2 right there. So if we do all that, let's see, the y is 3 equals m, we said is a fraction 1/2, and we need to multiply that by x. The x value is 4, and then we have the plus b at the very end. So now we just need to do the math. Now some of us are thinking, oh, this fraction's horrible fraction. It's easy, it's 1/2. 1/2 times 4 is simply 1/2 of 4, right? 1/2 times 4 is 2. So my new equation becomes 3 equals 2 plus b. So my final step would be to subtract 2 to both sides, and you'll get b equals 1. So b equals 1, okay? b equals 1. So now we have both things that we need. So all we need to do is write the slope-intercept form equation, y equals mx plus b. Y equals 1/2 x. Let me just write it all in red, sorry. Y equals 1/2 x plus 1. And that's your slope-intercept form equation. So again, we're doing the odd ones. Should we do 7? Should we do 9? What do you guys say? Pick one. 7? Or 7 and 9? I don't know. So this is your x value, your y value, and this is obviously your m value. Let's all plug it into y equals mx plus b. So once again, I'm going to take the x, plug it in right here, the 3 value right here. I'm going to take this 7, put it right here. I'm going to take the 2/7 and plug it in right here. There's a 7, the fraction 2/7 times x, and x is 3 from the coordinate 3, 7. And then the plus b is at the very end. Now we need to solve for b. Now on this one, 2/7 times 3 doesn't work out that great, but it's really easy to multiply fractions, all right? Don't freak out. All you have to do is put the 3 over a 1 to make it look like a fraction, then multiply the top with the top and the bottom with the bottom, right? So what do we really end up with? We still have the 7, we still have the equal sign, but up on top, what is 2 times 3? 6. Yeah, 2 times 3 is 6, and how about 7 times 1? 7 times 1 is 7. So you really have 6 over 7. So 7 equals 6 over 7 plus b. That's our new equation. Oh, it's ugly. It has a fraction. That is true. It does have a fraction. So let's get rid of it. How do we get rid of the fraction? Multiply everything by 7. This times 7, this times 7, even the b times 7. That'll technically only temporarily get rid of the fraction, but it'll make it look nicer for the last step. You'll have 49 equals, the 7's cancel. You're going to have 6 plus 7b. So what do we do with the 6 on the right side of the equation? Subtract, subtract. And what's my final, well actually the almost final equation? We have 43 equals 7b. So what's my final step? Divide by 7. And we get 43 divided by 7. And that's your b value. Now, I know you're thinking, that's a disgusting fraction, because it is. Wait, 43, why did I put 47 divided by 3? That's horrible. Switch that up. Let me write my answer over here on the side. Okay, our m was 2/7, and our b is 43 over 7. Now, it would be nicer if it was 49 over 7. That way you could actually divide 49 by 7. Or 42 over 7, but right here 43 over 7, you can't do anything about it. But who cares? Let's just write our equation. Our equation will be y equals 2/7 x plus 43 over 7. So if you check the back of your worksheet, you'll see the mixed fraction. Instead of 43 over 7, they actually divided 43. They've divided 43 by 7, and it goes in 6 times. That's 42. You have a remainder of 1. So they wrote it as a remainder over 7. They wrote it as 6 1/7. It's the same exact equation, though. That's your answer. Y equals 2/7 x plus 43 over 7, or y equals 2/7 x plus 6 1/7. Now, the really challenging ones are down here on the final part of the homework. We are doing the odd ones. Pick one down here. 13, 15, 17. Which one? 13. So on 13, we want to, what are the two things that we need?
M and B.
M and B, that's right. So I need an M, I need a B. Ladies and gentlemen, do they give us either of those? I want to pause right there and I want to ask the question again. Do they give us either of those?
No.
Yes. They do give us the B value. If you think about these coordinates, the B value, where's this location, the coordinate location? It's at 0 on the x, -4 on the y. So let me take a couple of seconds to actually draw a sketch of this. So when we think about this first coordinate, 0, -4, 0 on the x, -4 on the y, let me just put a dot right here. Let's say that this is 0, -4. Okay, now that is the B value. It actually crosses right through there. So the B value is -4. Now how about the M value? Do they give us the M value? No. Could we find it with the slope formula? Yes. But instead of jumping right into the math, just like we took a moment to think about this coordinate, why not take a moment to think about this coordinate? Where is 5, -4 at? Well, here's the origin. If you go 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you go -4. What could he tell me about that line going through those 2 points? It has no slope. So technically, you also know the slope, which is 0. So we didn't have to do any math on this one. The slope is 0, the y-intercept's -4. So you could actually write your answer, y equals, there is no slope, and the B value is 4, -4. So this is not the best answer. Why not? Because if there's 0x, then there's no purpose in writing an x term at all. So your best answer is y equals -4. And we all know that y equals -4 is really that horizontal line crossing the y-axis at -4. Does that make sense? So we didn't have to do any math on that one. So I guess this, when I said these are the hardest type of questions, I lied on number 13. Now number 15 is definitely a multi-step problem. Should we do 15 or 17? 15, all right. So let's first find the slope using the formula. Actually, no, let's first say that we need an m and a b. And let's start finding the m with the slope formula. There's the slope formula. Let's also label the coordinates. And of course, we label them x1, y1 because this is the first point, x2, y2, this is the second point. And now let's plug in our values. Always start with the division and the subtraction symbols, and then plug in your y2, which is 5, your y1, which is -3, your x2, which is 4, your x1, which is -2. And then do the math. The minus minus changes to plus plus. 5 plus 3 is 8. 4 plus 2 is 6. So our slope, if you reduce it, becomes 4 over 3. Are you with me? Yes. So the m is 4 over 3. We have half of what we need. We still need the b value. Okay? In order to find the b value, we need to take the m that we just found and either of these points. But you have to pick one. You can't use the x from here and the y from over here. That would not work. You have to either pick the first point or the second point. And you're going to plug in your x and your y from your point and your m all in the y equals mx plus b so you could solve for b. So here's y equals mx plus b. And let's plug in some values. So the question is, do you want to use the first point or the second point? Okay, I've always used the first. Some people are saying second. Let's go with second then. So I'm going to plug in the 5 for y because that's my y value on the second point. I want to plug in 4 for x. Okay, so a 4 is going to go right here where the x is at. And I need to multiply it by m. We said m was what? M is 4/3, so that's going to go in right here in the m position. So that's 4/3. And we have the equal sign, and we have the plus b at the very end. So we need to multiply the fraction 4/3 times 4. That's easy to do. Just put the 4 over a 1 and multiply the top with the top and the bottom with the bottom. So my new equation will be 5 equals 16 over 3 plus b. Why 16 over 3? Because 4 times 4 is 16, and 3 times 1 is 3. So we need to solve this equation. I need to get b by itself. I don't want fractions. How could I get rid of the fraction 16/3? Multiply by 3. Everything by 3, including the b. So I have 15 equals 16 plus 3b. Almost done. 2 more steps. What do I do next? Subtract 16. Thank you. Subtract 16. So we have 3b equals -1. Final step. How do I get rid of that 3? Divide by 3. b equals -1/3. So let's go back up to where I originally wrote down m and b. Whoa, sorry. So we needed the m, we needed the b. We just found that the b is -1/3. Now I could write my equation in slope-intercept form. Y equals 4/3 x minus 1/3. Remember, all you need is the m and the b. Once you find the m and the b, you can simply plug it in and you'll have your slope-intercept form equation. Who cares if you have fractions? So we're done with this worksheet. What we need to do now is move on to the next section, which is kind of like the same thing because we're still going to be writing equations. So this is section 4.3, the next section, but I'm really going to just mesh all of the sections together so that you guys could see that we're going to be talking about different forms of linear equations. Okay, now what is a form? What does the word form represent? What does that mean? Anybody? What's a form? It's the way it looks, right? It's the organization. Why do we call slope-intercept form? Because if it's in slope-intercept form, it has the organization, it has the form where you could clearly see your slope and your intercept. You guys remember standard form? Capital AX plus capital BY equals capital C is standard form, because if it's organized this way, you'll have your X first, your Y second, and a number all by itself. Not only that, your A, B, and C can't be fractions, can't be decimals, right? So the word form is just the way you organize your equation. Now we already know slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. We already know standard form, capital AX plus capital BY equals capital C. And on this next section, we're going to finally introduce the third form, which is called point-slope form. Point-slope form. And actually, I'm going to pause this right here, and we're going to pick this up on the next video.